Once you've got the hang of basic formulas in Excel, it can be easy to just go with the flow, but there's a couple of extra things you need to know in order to make creating basic formulas quite easy. So here we have a cost price, and I want to create a sell price, or create a calculation that gives me the sell price with a margin over here. So I'm going to start out by typing in equals, because that tells Excel we're about to do some maths. Then I'm going to take this cell and I'm going to multiply it by the cell that contains our margin, which is 10%. And then of course, I want my sell price to be 10% more than the cost price. So I then need to add the cost price, because this piece here is just giving me the 10%. I press enter and you can see here that is 10%. Now watch what happens when I fill this formula down, because in Excel we really only want to do things once and then have Excel do the heavy lifting. You can see here what it's doing is it's duplicating, so that's not quite right. That's because when we copy this formula down to the next row, Excel goes, okay, so you want to take B4 and you want to multiply it by H3. So it's come down to here to reference H3, which actually has no data in it. And then it's added on the B4, which is correct. So everything's correct in the formula except for this H3. Now, what we want to do is we want to adjust our formula in the first cell so that when we fill it down, Excel automatically just references this margin and doesn't try to go down and copy relative to its new location. So the way we do this is by clicking on the reference, the cell reference, and you're now in what's called edit mode, and you can see your cursor flashing, and you can also see Excel highlighting colors, the elements of your formula. If I press the F4 key on my keyboard, you'll notice it goes $H, $2. The dollar signs tell Excel to lock this cell. So the dollar sign in front of the H says lock column H, the dollar sign in front of the 2 says lock row number 2. And that means when you copy the formula, it doesn't matter where you copy it to, it's going to always reference cell H2. Now, I just want to press the F4 key again to show you the difference here. So this means if you go across to column I, it will adjust the column, but it will lock the row. Not what we want here. This one here locks the column, but not the row. And this one here returns us back to the relative address of H2. So if I press F4 again, it puts the dollar signs in. So the dollar sign in front of each one tells us it's locking that cell. Now, if I press enter, we've got our value in here, and then if I fill this down, you'll notice we now have 10%. Now, the beauty of this is that at a later stage, if we want to change the margin, we only have to come to one location. So from here, let's say I want to make the margin 15%. I'm going to type in 0.15, which is 15% as a decimal. And you can see it automatically updates everything. So this is what we call absolute cell addressing. It means it locks a cell so that wherever you copy the formula to, it's just referring to this one cell. Really handy for things like margins or hourly rates for a particular staff member, or currency conversions. So that's relative versus absolute cell addressing in Excel.